Okay, I'm going to try this again. We'll see if it's working now. Hopefully it is. It looks like we've got a decent stream again if you're still there. My apologies, but I will stitch these two together and put them up as a video for you afterwards, and I will try to answer questions. But let me at least let you know what's happening with GunGuyTV, and then I'll stitch them together as a video, and I'll put them up here in a little bit. With GunGuyTV, one of the things I'm going to do, I don't see anybody here, so I may be completely talking to myself, and that's fine. But one of the things I'm going to do that I decided to do was to ditch my personal social media. Thank you for coming back. We've got it started again. It looks like it's going well now, so I apologize for the hiccup in the stream. I will glue them together, edit them together, and put them up as one video a little later on. Okay, and I may not be able to get back to your questions earlier, so what I'll do is when I do that, I'll answer the questions for you so that I'm actually going through your questions for you. If it starts hiccuping again, we'll wrap it up. All right, a couple things I'm doing. I decided last night to do away with my personal social media accounts. So my LinkedIn account is gone. My Facebook account is gone. Those are the only two I really had. I've kept the one for GunGuyTV and Practical Defense Systems and like that for business purposes, but I don't have any personal social media anymore. And the main reason for that is that it just takes a lot of time, and I find that it's nothing but people fighting over stuff. And, you know, one of the things my dad used to tell me is never get in a stinking contest with a skunk, because a skunk's going to win, and besides, a skunk likes to smell. So there's no sense in getting in these things where I post something and then people want to argue with me and that kind of stuff. All right, in the same example, I have taken for some time every day, I've tried to go through and pull up stories on what's going on with the First or the Second Amendment or whatever your rights are, and post them for you throughout the day on social media, on the GunGuyTV, Facebook and Twitter, and on the same thing on Practical Defense Systems. The problem is that now it's become such an issue that when I post something, now I end up with in an all-day debate back and forth with people. And I work for a living. I'm not retired. I got a business to run. So I just don't have the time to engage in that. So what I am going to do instead is I'm going to post in this live stream once it's up and running as a video. I'll post some links to some websites for you where I actually go get that information on a regular basis. One is called the Gun Feed. All run together, the Gun Feed, but I'll put a link up there. And there are some others as well. And that way, if you want to go get that information, you're welcome to. But the posts from now on the GunGuyTV Facebook page, Twitter page, are going to be things that we're doing here at GunGuyTV for the most part, or hopefully things that are encouraging. I'm not going to get in the spitting contests anymore. I just don't have the time or desire to do it. And besides which, I'm not an arguer. I don't like drama. I don't generally put up with drama in my personal life. And I don't like being insulted, because I'm one of those guys that it was not a good idea to insult in person when I was younger, and I really don't like being insulted now. So I don't want to get in those things. I'd rather not. I think the other thing too is that because it's taken up so much time in my day, not only have I had trouble getting my work done, but I also haven't had time for the Lord. And I really want to make sure I'm in my Bible every morning, and I'm spending great time with God, and I haven't been able to do that. And that's, for me as a Christian, that's vital for me to have a decent attitude throughout the day and to make sure I'm focused more on Christ than I am on what's going on in the world. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. And so that's the changes I'm going to make where social media is concerned. So if I have views on something, they'll be done on GunGuyTV on the various video platforms. They won't be expressed on social media in the form of Twitter or Facebook or whatever. I'm just not going to do it because I can't get in the give and take with it or the back and forth with it. I just can't. All right, looks like we got a pretty good stream. That's all the news I had. Let me see if I can go through the comments. And if you typed one into the previous stream and you still want me to answer it and you're back, please type it in here and I'll try to get through them and see if I can answer these for you. Oh, good. Okay. No lag. I'm grateful. Hopefully it'll stay that way. I don't know what the problem was. Daryl's asking what happened. What happened was sometimes we pay for really fast internet, but because everyone is working from home and it's still daylight out, a lot of folks this time are still working. And since they're conferencing and like that, all of the internet sort of gets dragged down by the neighborhood a little bit, and the speed goes down. That's what happens. Under normal circumstances, everybody would be home having dinner or whatever, and we wouldn't be facing that, but unfortunately we are. I'm grateful. Thank you very much. Road Bully, I love the name, that they're here. Let's see. What's up, Gun Guy? Well, I went through some of that, and I'll stitch these two together Seems better so far. I'm just looking to see if you guys have stuff you want to address. How are you doing? Hope your family is safe and healthy. That's from Kirk Barr. We're doing well, Kirk. We're doing really well. Very fortunately for us, our finances have not been dinged by the coronavirus very much, and so that's been a good thing. Because we have a lot of friends who have been. They've going through some struggles over that. Where we live, we were not impacted by the protesting and by the rioting. However, it isn't terribly far from where we live that there's the city of La Mesa in San Diego County, a section of which was pretty much torched. And so it could have migrated our way. And then again, we're kind of in a different spot. But again, a town that's not terribly far from us called Santee also had some serious problems. So we're fine. My hope is that none of that will come our way. I really hope not. And hopefully we'll not have to harm anybody, because we do, as you might imagine, it is GunGuyTV. We do have the ability to defend ourselves. God forbid that we ever have to. Let's see what else we got here. Are you still keeping the YouTube channel? Yes. Yeah, of course. No, yes, the YouTube channel's not going away. I'm sorry. Let me clarify that. What I'm trying not to have to do, because I want to get up in the morning, get my Bible, and read my Bible in the morning. Because what I've been doing lately is I get up in the morning and I come in here and I sit down in the office and I start looking at news stories on Second Amendment stuff, and I start putting them into the program I have that stretches them out during the day and posts them on Facebook and Twitter and like that, so that you're not bombed with them. They come out during the day. Well, it takes me about 2 hours to do that. And then by the time I get done with the 2 hours to do that, I've eaten my breakfast sitting here in front of a computer, and I've done all that. And now the office is opening and it's time for me to start to go to work. And I've got customers calling. I've got emails I got to respond to. And so I get through my day and I don't have any time for the Lord. And by nature, I'm a fairly intense person personally. I'm not a person who likes drama, and I'm not a person who likes emotion, and I'm not a patient person by nature. But if I spend time with the Lord, I can take on those qualities from Him, and then I am patient, and I am easier to deal with, and I'm nicer to people and so on. And if somebody insults me, I can respond rather than react. But if I'm not spending time with the Lord and somebody wants to mouth off at me, I'm just as likely to punch them in the face as I am anything else, because that's my worldly nature. I don't want to be that. So if I don't have time with the Lord, I'm a mess. So as a result, what I'm getting rid of is I'm just not going to spend the time in the morning doing that. And I'm not going to engage in the arguments on Twitter and like that. But as far as GunGuyTV is concerned, and the websites and the YouTube channel and posting videos, yeah, I'm going to keep doing that. I love doing that. And doing this and doing the podcast, yeah, I absolutely am going to keep doing that. It's actually, first of all, I'm passionate about the Second Amendment. I'm very appreciative of you and your support. Thank you very, 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 very much. I can't say that enough. That's why I say it all the time. But at the same time, this is a passion for me, and I love doing this. I thoroughly enjoy doing this. It's cathartic for me to do this. So it's a good thing. But I also need to have time with the Lord in the morning, and it was taking away that time, and that was a big deal. And then it was also burning up a lot of time I could be spending with my family. And so family is important to me. My relationship with God is number one to me, and then my relationship with my wife, and then my relationship with my kids and extended family and my church family and like that. So there you are. And whether you're a person of faith or not, at least, that's the reason why I'm doing it. And you may not agree with that, and that's fine. You don't have to. It's not your life, but it is mine. Let's see. Any prognosis on the cases before SCOTUS? None. Because they've surprised me at this point that they haven't taken one, unless they did today. But they haven't taken one. I'm a little surprised by that. I'm hoping that they will take one. And cheers to you, too, from San Jose, SIKKR6. I don't know how you say it. Let's see. Good evening, everyone, from George Washington. I love it. Just joined Patreon. Thank you very much. Rookie Training. Thank you very much. Hope you're doing good. We're doing well. And Patreon, by the way, is super important. I try not to talk about it too much on the stream, but it is super important because we don't get a lot of money from YouTube. And it's not about my making a living off of YouTube. I don't make a living off of YouTube. I make a living off of Practical Defense Systems, which does extremely well. So we're doing really well with that. In fact, the deal with Patreon is that I put extra content up there for people because Patreon helps me fund this, what we're doing here, and the travel. I have to go out to Utah to renew a license. I've got to go. There's a whole bunch of things I got to do in the next month or so, and then I'm driving back and forth to Yuma to shoot because I can't do it here in crazy California. And so there's just costs there that helps absorb, and it's super important for that. And I'm really, really grateful for that. Thank you very much for your help. I'm losing my voice here a little bit, so forgive me. You don't want me to be your dad. I'm a mess. My son thinks, I do. My children keep telling me I'm a great dad. And I tell you what, if at the end of the day, thank you very much for that, by the way. George Washington said that. Here's what's important to me. We don't have a fancy house. Our house is I think it's under 1,500 square feet. We live in a normal neighborhood, middle-class neighborhood. My neighbor's a mechanic, and my other neighbor worked for the post office, and other neighbor's a fireman, and like that. And we don't drive fancy cars. I think my truck is a 2002, and my wife's car is a 2003. So we're not rolling in dough or whatever. It's regular people. That's all we are. But none of that's important to me. I don't care about that. At the end of the day, when they put me in the ground, what's important to me is when somebody asks, what kind of a husband was he? What kind of a father was he? What kind of a man was he? I hope the answers are going to be really good. And if I've achieved that and I've been faithful to Christ, then that's success to me. That's success to me. Now, I realize that's not success to a lot of people. We all have to find our own barometer of success, but that's success to me. When is Sam coming on the show again? I don't know, but I will check with Sam. I know both Sam, Rick, Sam Paredes, Rick Travis, and Chuck Michelle are always happy to come on the show anytime. So is Eric Pratt. So if you want Sam back on, I will contact him. I'll send him an email. We'll see if we can get Sam back on, and I'll send one to Rick too, and I'll send one to Chuck and see if they have anything they want to talk about. We'll get him back on the show again for you. Sure, you bet. And I love them, by the way. They're good friends. They've become good friends over the years, and they are, when it comes to Christian gentlemen, as a matter of fact, both Sam and Rick, very faithful, which is kind of cool. I don't know about Chuck Michelle. Never asked him. It hasn't come up in conversation. Greetings from LA. You're still alive, Scott, and you haven't burnt the place down. I'm grateful. You be safe up there, okay? How's that Sega rifle? I'm trying to decide with the Sega rifle whether to, and I'm going to say Sega. I can't forgive me. I'm trying to decide whether to leave it in its kind of California configuration and just get a nicer stock and chain and a better trigger, or completely redo it and bring it back to what it ought to be as an AK. And part of that's money, time, know-how, and like that. And I haven't really decided yet, but we are going to make it better. If it doesn't make it better, then I probably will never use it, and I might sell it or something at some point. I don't know. Excuse me. I do follow the theory that it's never selling a firearm. There's no benefit ever came from selling a functional firearm, unless you're buying a better one. Really, really enjoy your videos and appreciate your faith. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's from Joseph Dayton. And I appreciate being in your prayers. That's huge to me. In fact, you have no idea how huge that is to me. Thank you. I appreciate that. The people pray for me is really, really cool. I never thought I'd be a person that people would pray for on a regular basis. It's nice that you do that. Thank you. Where can we donate for support? Well, that's from Hector. Hector, there's a few different ways you can do that. You can join Patreon if you want, and then that's a monthly thing, and you don't have to do that, but you can. You can if you shop Amazon, you can use our Amazon link, and every time you buy something, we get paid a little bit, and it doesn't cost you anything. And the way you would do that is go to our website at GunGuy.tv, and then on the top of the website, I'm sorry, I don't have an image to show you, but on the top of the website, there's a little rectangular shopping banner for Amazon. If you click on that, it will take you to Amazon's page, and it's got our link on it. And so if you just bookmark that page, and every time you go back to Amazon, if you go to that page on your bookmark and then shop, it doesn't matter what you buy. You can buy anything, gun-related or not. We get a small marketing fee. And that actually, it actually helps a lot, to be honest with you. I'm not a big fan of Amazon, but you can pick their pocket a little bit and put some money in ours if you want. If you actually just want to donate, there's a few different ways you can do it on our website. There's a PayPal link. If you want to do it in Bitcoin, there's a Bitcoin link. Nobody's ever done that, but I did put it up there. And that's about it. One fellow, I think, has a recurring thing on PayPal for $2 a month. And it just comes in $2 every month. And every time I see it, I just think, what an incredible blessing. It's just really neat that he does that. So hopefully I answered that question. Let's see. I think I've lost track of where it was here. California. Yeah, exactly. The People's Socialist Republic of California is what we call it around here. I'm glad the stream is holding together. It was falling apart earlier. What is a good way to get involved in the Second Amendment gun community in San Diego? Okay, well, in San Diego, there's a couple different ways to do it. If you want to just do it in San Diego, check out San Diego Gun Owners, I think is the name of the organization, run by a gentleman named Michael Schwartz, a very nice man. I don't get a chance to speak to him hardly ever, but he is a very nice man, and they, from what I understand, they do a really, really good job. So you might look up San Diego Gun Owners, and that's run by a gentleman named Michael Schwartz. I don't know him personally. I've met him a number of times. Always seemed like a really, really cool guy. So you might check up with him. If I can, I'll put a link in the description for you. If you're looking for California and not specifically San Diego County, then I would look at the California Rifle and Pistol Association and Gun Owners of California. Those two are the most proactive in the state that I'm aware of. Now, there are others. There's Cal Guns, there's the Firearms Policy Coalition, and so on. So you might look at all of them. I'm not as familiar with the other two that I just mentioned, Cal Guns and the Firearms Policy Coalition. But I do know quite a bit about CRPA, California Rifle and Pistol Association, and Gun Owners of California, and I'm actually members of both of those. And as I said, Michael Schwartz's organization, San Diego Gun Owners, does a lot of great work here in the county. Are we really live? Yes, you're really live, I think. People ask that every time. Yes, we're really live. Let's see, because I just read your comment. So there you go. Let's see, Joel, when you go to Sprague's, do you make a turn around trip or do you stay somewhere? I generally make it's a one-day trip. So I go out, I do my thing, and I come back. And the reason I do that is because it's not that far. It's 2.5 hours. My wife and I also own a house in El Centro, and it's a rental. And so it gives me an opportunity as I drive on the way out there or on the way back to stop in Imperial Valley real quick and check on my house. I don't go in it or bang on the door. I just drive by it and make sure it's still there and hasn't burned down to the ground or it isn't surrounded with junk. Our tenant there is really a terrific person. He's really a great guy. His name's Gus. So he takes really good care of it. But nevertheless, I do drive by it every time I go out there. So it gives me an opportunity to do that. And I go out there, I chat with Richard Sprague a little bit and his staff, and we do our thing, and then I come back. If I'm hunting out there, it's a whole different thing. Then I'll stay in Arizona. And sometimes I hunt outside of Yuma. Sometimes I hunt outside of Florence, Arizona, and there's other places like that. What do you think of citizens protecting their businesses during these times with firearms in California? Okay. Who asked that question? Aaron, and forgive me without my glasses, Yepes? Aaron, I hope I didn't screw up your last name. That is a great question. Okay, here's the deal. This is my understanding. First of all, in California, you cannot defend property with deadly force, period. So you cannot defend your business with a firearm or with deadly force in California because you would then be defending property. You can defend yourself or another human being. You can't defend your dog. As much I would defend my dog, but you can't defend your dog or a pet because they're considered property, even though our dog, Charlie, is really family. But, I mean, we don't think of him as property. The law does. So you can't defend property with deadly force in the state of California, but you can defend human beings, yourself or another person. So if you happen to be in your business, my understanding is you do have a legal right to have a loaded firearm in your business. And if your life is threatened, you can defend your life because you're defending yourself. So you have to have a reasonable or credible fear of death or great bodily harm. And if that comes up, then you can defend yourself. In your home, when you're home, in your home, if someone is forcibly entering your home or has forcibly entered your home and it's not a family member or somebody you know or somebody that lost their keys or whatever, and they're actually coming into your dwelling, not your garage, not your backyard, into your home, into where you live, the part that you live in. If they're coming in there, then under the Castle Doctrine 198.5 PC, the law is going to presume that you had a credible fear of death or great bodily harm if you used deadly force to repel that invasion, unless proven otherwise in the investigation. If they find out you shot the guy 6 times in the back because he was running out the back door, that's not going to fly for you. So keep in mind that laws are fairly strict here. There's certain circumstances under which you can use deadly force, but it always surrounds defending human beings, not defending property. Now, I do suggest there's a link in the description of the podcast or the live stream that you go to that link at CRPA, and it'll give you much more detail. And it's written by lawyers, but it's written in English. So I suggest you go look at that. That is my understanding. Now, with that, I'm not an attorney, and I don't play one on YouTube. Okay? So I suggest you check what they put in there. That is my understanding. I do teach a concealed carry class for the San Diego County Sheriff's Department, and I teach a bunch of other classes. So I've given you what I know. Excuse me, I got to blow my nose. And no, I don't have coronavirus. At least not that I'm aware of anyway. What I do have is some allergies in this allergy season. So sorry about that. So that's my understanding. I hope that helps. All right, let me go see if I can find one else. I really enjoy your videos. We did that. Thank you very much. Spriggs, I did that. What we got here? Is anyone in the chat going to, I don't know what, I'll let you guys discuss that. Everybody's talking about the number of people on the chat. On the live stream. I think there's 75 right now, in case you're wondering. But this thing will be viewed by thousands of people. They watch it later. So the fact that you're answering really great questions is really great. Doesn't look like SCOTUS is going to take a 2A case. I wouldn't assume that. I tend to agree with you, but I wouldn't assume that. When I'm talking to Chuck Michelle, he's not convinced of that. So we'll have to wait and see. Time will tell. And when you start trying to figure out and predict what the court's going to do when it comes to the Supreme Court, oftentimes you're wrong because they go in weird directions and do things that you don't expect often. Have any people who have been typically pro-gun control been asking you for advice on getting their first gun? Yes, that's happened a lot. I get emails about that a lot. And if you want me to tell you what I tell them, then let me know in the comments here, and when I get to it, I will do that. Okay, this is Carrie David Sadler. Carrie, don't call me sir. My name's Joel. I work for a living. Okay, so you don't have to call me sir. I'm just Joel. That's all. Nothing special. I'm not. Look, I'm not. I know I have a YouTube channel and a podcast, and that makes me. People know my name, or they see me on the street or something. Look, I'm just a regular working person. I'm not anything special. Okay, I happen to have been a firearms instructor for a long time, so you don't have to call me sir. Joel is fine. Does that property law in California include arson? Well, of course, yes, if it's arson of your house. In other words, if you're talking about and again, this is hypothetical, so it's kind of hard for me to discuss hypotheticals. But yeah, if you're standing near your house and you look outside and somebody's about to throw a Molotov cocktail at your house and you shoot him, well, arson is a felony, and it's considered a violent felony because it can cause death. So if they're going to set your house on fire and you're in the house, are you defending yourself? Yes. Okay, so that would be my take on it. Now, I'm, again, not being an attorney, I don't know, but that would certainly be my take. Let's see. I didn't answer your question. See, I said, don't call me sir, but I didn't read the question. Sir, what are your thoughts on defunding the police? Okay, you're probably not going to like it. I think it's the stupidest idea I've ever heard in my life. We need police, okay? I think defunding the police is the dumbest thing that anybody would do. If you defund the police, what in the aftermath is not going to be something that you're hoping for. It's just not. Because if you defund the police, first of all, police officers are human beings. If they can't make a living as a police officer, a decent living as a police officer, they'll go do something else. And you're going to have trouble recruiting police officers who want to risk their lives, not just from the standpoint of danger, but now police officers can have their lives destroyed based upon 10 seconds of video that's taken out of context. Now, a lot of times, sometimes, that video, even when looked at in context, demonstrates bad behavior on the part of that cop, and now you got what you got maybe is potentially a bad cop, and that person needs to be fired, prosecuted, whatever, disciplined. But sometimes you take that 10 seconds of video out of context and you look at the whole video and you go, oh, well, that wasn't wrong at all. In fact, I might have done that if I was the cop. But police officers know that little 10 seconds of video can make or break their life, not just their career. And the more we put them in that position, the less people want to be cops. And then if we also defund them and we take their pay away, they don't want to be cops. Right now, I've spoken about it before. I'll mention it now, and I put it on social media. There's something called the Ferguson Effect. You may have heard of that. When Ferguson, Missouri, when Darren Wilson shot Michael Brown, what did we get? Little snippets, and everybody thought, oh, that's horrible, that's horrible. What he did to Michael Brown was horrible. Never mind the fact that Darren Wilson was a small cop. Michael Brown was a big guy who had just robbed a convenience store in a strong-arm robbery and attacked the cop and stuffed him in his door and was beating him senseless to the point where he had broken bones in his face before he shot Michael Brown. So when you get the whole picture, you go, well, maybe I would have done that if I was the cop. Okay, now I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying you want to look at the whole picture. What happened to Darren Wilson? Lost his career, lost his job, had to move because he was vilified, and there were riots through the streets. So what happens afterwards? Now police officers look at that neighborhood and they go, I don't want to go in there and do anything and be proactive, because if I am proactive, what happened to Wilson could happen to me. So instead, I'll be reactive. If I happen to see somebody I think is doing something they shouldn't be doing, I'm going to keep going. If they rob the liquor store, they rob the place, we'll get the call, we'll come back. But I'm not going to try to figure it out ahead of time, because if I do, and a little 10 seconds of video, my career is over, my life is over, and I'm screwed. Well, that happened with Ferguson, Missouri, and what happened is crime went through the ceiling. And that's one of the concerns we have now with what's happening to law enforcement now. Are police officers going to want to go into ethnic neighborhoods if they feel that their life could be at risk simply by virtue of what could come out in a 10-second video when nobody looks at it in context? There's certainly bad cops. There are bad cops in every industry. There's bad people in every industry. There are bad doctors. There are bad nurses. There are bad cops. There are bad UPS drivers. There are bad postal workers. There are bad clerks at the store. And they need to be weeded out. But to defund the police department, you're not going to like the result. So there you go. That's my opinion. The property law in California, I already talked about that. That reason alone is why I could never live in California. Sure, I get it. Let's see. Somebody's responding to the arson thing. They can still sue you. Of course they can sue you. That's why you have great insurance. Okay, so there's a couple things. They can still sue you if they live. Well, they can sue you if they don't. Right? If you shoot a criminal and they live, they can sue you. If you shoot a criminal and they die, their family will sue you. So you're going to get sued either way. That's why you want to have great homeowners insurance or great renters insurance, and why you should have some sort of insurance for having a firearm and defending yourself with a firearm. The one I use personally is Second Call Defense, but there's also USCCA, and there's others. Investigate them, figure out which one works best for you. If you choose to use Second Call Defense, I do have an affiliate relationship with them, and let me know. I'll send you the link. And then we make a little money off of it. But if you find that the other ones are better, pick the one that's best for you. Don't pick it because we happen to have an affiliate relationship with them. That's crazy. But you should have some coverage just in case. I do. We have a lot of homeowners insurance, specifically before that. And I also spoke to our homeowners insurance company and said, will you cover me if I have to defend myself with a gun in my house? And the answer was yes. Okay. Some will say no. So you want to find that out ahead of time and then read your policy. Let's see if I find the other ones. Great book to read, Law of Self-Defense by Andrew Branca? Andrew Branca. Law of Self-Defense by Andrew Branca. Chris, is it Elcher? Am I saying that right, Chris? I don't have my glasses on. I hope so. Anyway, so there you go. I'll read it again. Law of Self-Defense by Andrew Branca. I also put some books in the description, one of which is about use of force, which would be very good for you to read. How hard is it to get a concealed carry in California? Okay, well, that depends on the county in which you live. How am I doing on time here? Stream's in good shape. Hey, okay. In California, concealed carry permits are generally issued by the county sheriff or local law enforcement authority. It could be a police chief, but typically they give that responsibility to the sheriff. It depends on the county in which you live. There are 58 counties in the state of California, the vast majority of which will issue you a concealed carry permit. And I should stop here and say, regardless of where it is issued. I have a permit issued by the San Diego County Sheriff's Department. The permit, unless the sheriff puts restrictions on it, which as far as I know, none of them do, is good throughout the state. So although if you live in Los Angeles County, you haven't got the chance of a fart in a whirlwind of getting one from the Los Angeles County Sheriff, I can carry a gun in Los Angeles County and Los Angeles because I have a permit from the San Diego County Sheriff. So it's a very unfair, unequal application of the law throughout the state. It really depends on the county that you're in. Los Angeles County does not issue, as far as I know, unless you're very wealthy or you're a movie star or you're a friend of the sheriff. That about covers it. Or you're a retired police officer or something. But if you're a retired police officer, you can carry anyway under LEOSA, under HR 218, so it doesn't really matter. San Francisco area does not issue, as far as I know. And there may have been, I don't think Santa Cruz issues. The rest of the counties issue in one form or another. Some of them will issue if you simply want it for simple self-defense. And they'll consider self-defense justification. Because in the law in the state of California, you have to have what they call good cause, but the law doesn't define good cause. So each law enforcement authority gets to define good cause. Good cause is, for some of them, you want it for simple self-defense. That's good enough cause. I'll issue you a permit. Some of them say, you only get it if you're my friend, or you contribute money to my campaign, or you're a movie star, or you're wealthy, or you've had threats, multiple threats that have been documented, or whatever. And then there's a lot of jurisdictions like San Diego County that says, okay, just the San Diego sheriff, this is what he said. Bring me a reason other than I simply want one, and we'll look at it. And since he got reelected, he's actually been true to that. So if you can go in and articulate a reason, and it's just reasonable in his mind, it doesn't have to be stellar, it has to be reasonable, then he'll probably issue you a permit. You just have to be 21 years of age or older. You have to apply in the county in which you live. You can't live in one county and apply in another one. And that's where you're a victim of where you live. And you can apply. And there you are. So in San Diego, it's not terribly difficult. It's time-consuming. And right now with coronavirus, it's harder because of that. But other than that, it's not terribly difficult. It really depends on where you live in the county. Hopefully that answered that question. Where was I? Okay, somebody talking about arson. Somebody said rookie training said it's more like how bad do you want a CCW. It is a process in California. It's kind of a process, but I've had one since 1990. Let me tell you what, 1990 it was a lot harder than it is now. So it's a lot easier now. I teach the class in San Diego. Even in San Diego, it's a lot easier now. It used to be really, really tough. Thank you, Joel. Your insight is always okay. Well, you're welcome. This is Chargers. Okay. Let's see. Try to look for a question here, see if there's one. No mass shooting happened to. There were no well, I don't know if there were mass shootings while the unrest was happening, but certainly people lost their lives. Chief Dorn was a retired police chief in St. Louis, I think. He stopped by his friend's pawn shop to try to help him out, and he got shot to death there. They caught the guy, they think, who did that. There have been several people who have been killed as a result of this mess, and it's really, really sad. I hope my stream's working. It looks like it. And then there have been other people who've lost their lives, some black, some not. Looks like we're getting some errors again on the stream, so I'm going to try to get these in, and if it doesn't work, I'll wrap it up here. Okay, the police militarization thing, Brandon, is something that's going to be, I can't answer within the context of this. We'd be here all day, but I don't. There's limits. I'll put it that way. Let me know if we're hiccuping again. I hope we're not. Looks like we might be. Mass shooting in Chicago. Okay, I didn't know that. You're going to email me about something, please do. If you want to email me about something and ask me a question, feel free. Joel@kbtninc.com. JOEL and think kick butt take names. KBTN Inc. KBTNINC.com. Feel free to email me. I'll happily answer your question for you. What do you think about Floyd family writing to the UN? I think it's ridiculous. But I understand their pain. As a former USCCA attorney and still is called upon as an expert witness in firearms. Okay, so Chris Elder's explaining about Andrew Baca and his book. Get to third edition, he says, of that book. Okay. Mass shootings in Chicago the other day. Well, that's an everyday thing in Chicago. I mean, Guns Control Chicago, 50 some odd people seem to die every weekend. I don't want to be flippant about it, but yeah, it happens all the time. It's terrible. No errors there. Good. It's working. Okay. The TV show Cops canceled. They're going to start canceling cop shows now because it's a cancel culture. I'm surprised people are even actually still buying courses at Practical Defense Systems because I've been vocal about this with my opinion that's unpopular. I'm of the opinion that, here's my opinion. Somebody got me the other day and they wanted me to condemn the violent police. So here, this is what I said. And this is the truth. I condemn the violent actions of Black Lives Matter, Antifa, any other group like that does these things, if they do them, murderers, looters, rioters. I condemn rogue police officers who commit crimes by violating the rights of others and sometimes violently. I condemn all of those things, regardless of the color of anybody's skin, because I get in trouble all the time by simply saying, in my humble opinion, there's one race. It's called the human race. We come in different sizes, shapes, and colors. We make our food differently. We have different cultures. We speak different languages, and that should be celebrated, because if you are white or black or brown or Asian or whatever you are, God made you that way, and God does not make mistakes. So you are not a mistake. You are valuable in the eyes of God, and as a result, you are valuable in my eyes. And I tell you, Nick and I were talking about this the other day. The first thing that he said, Dad, when I see somebody, I don't see their color as the first thing I see about them. And I said, I don't either, but a lot of people do. And that's something that we get to change in our society. All right. Sorry, I went on a rampage there. I apologize. Let's see. Great book. We talked about that. I went through. I hope I didn't miss a question. I may have, and I apologize if I did. I'm trying really hard not to. I'm running a little short on time. The stream seems to be stable, for which I'm grateful. Thank you, Joel. Your insight as always. Forgive me. I'm kind of going through these. Okay. CCW in Central California is pay a little, pay more. Yeah, well, that happens in some counties. It really does. It's sad, but it's true. I agree with you. I love your name. It's your name. That's lovable. That's great. Okay. What are your opinions on the arguments of police militarization? Okay, that's where I was before. Brandon, I'll make it really, really small. I'm not a fan of police being turned into a military unit. That said, in certain jurisdictions, they sometimes face things that they would not be able to successfully resolve without an armored vehicle or without those kinds of tools. Does every department need that? No. Some departments probably do. When they start having weapons mounted on armored vehicles, that's when we have a problem. When they start driving, there's a limit, is my point. I understand the use of armor because it can save lives and it allows officers to get closer to things than they wouldn't otherwise be able to get closer to, or to breach barriers and that kind of thing they couldn't otherwise breach, and to do so without getting killed. That's the reason why they wear body armor. For crying out loud, as a bail bondsman, that's the reason why I wore body armor. Okay? So I get the body armor thing. That makes a lot of sense, and I get the armored vehicle thing. That's why rich people, if they can afford it, buy an armored vehicle, and it looks like a normal vehicle, but it's an up-armored vehicle because they're worried about getting kidnapped or shot or robbed because they're rich. Okay? Well, cops are no different. So I don't have a problem with that, but I think when they become a military, or they're so militaristic that they're looking more like military than police, and that concerns me, particularly if they're that way all the time, which our police forces are not. At least not so far anyway. Hopefully that helps. Let's see. In going to your email, you're in San Diego going to buy First Gun unbelievable red tape. Yes, that's true. So send me an email. I'll try to help with that if I can. But it's ridiculous. What do you think about the Floyd family writing? I answered that. I think it's silly, but I get their pain. And you clarified about the book. Oop, there's a bunch of them popped up all of a sudden there. Okay. I feel the Floyd family might have a criminal form of thinking that, like his son of a multiple family convictions, right? Okay. I don't know I'm going to say this very carefully. I have not done the research into what George Floyd's history is. I don't know if he had an extensive criminal history. I do know that you generally don't end up in handcuffs unless you're committing a crime or you have a criminal history. That said, I don't care what crime he committed, having your knee on his neck, having a guy's knee on his neck for 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes is ridiculous. Once you have him under control and in custody with handcuffs on him, you put him in the car. That's what you do. You don't sit there with your knee on his neck for long periods of time. You would be hard-pressed to find a police officer anywhere in this country who does not know for a fact and tell you that that was absolutely uncalled for and wrong. That said, you don't end up in handcuffs just because. So it goes back to, as I said, about Michael Brown. Michael Brown would be alive today if he simply would have gotten out of the middle of the street when the officer told him to. So here's a hint for you, okay? For everybody, if you want to have a decent result when dealing with contact with law enforcement, if you're bossing you around, if a police officer gives you a lawful order, obey it. I know you may not agree with it, that's fine, but obey it, because you're not going to resolve that issue at that moment in the street. You're going to resolve that issue later in court, or filing a complaint with the police department, or maybe on social media if you want to post a video there, maybe with the mainstream media in your town or nationally. But you're not going to resolve the issue with that cop at that moment. If you resist that cop or do not follow their lawful orders, I don't know why anybody thinks that it's a good thing to get in a physical confrontation with a uniformed police officer, and why they ever think that's going to end well for them boggles my mind. It never ends well. So whether you like cops or don't like cops or whatever, if a cop gives you a lawful order, follow it. You'll live longer and you'll be healthier that way, because at that moment in the street, the cop is going to win that confrontation every stinking time. And if you overcome the cop, other cops are going to win that confrontation later, and it's still not going to go well for you. So that's the basic rule. And I'm not justifying police abuse. I live in the world of reality. Okay. So even if it's a good cop or bad cop, the cop gives you an order, follow it. Don't argue. Just do what they tell you. And then you can argue about it later in other areas. We got other ways to do that where you're perfectly safe while you're doing so. And you're not threatening the police officer either. All right. Look up, somebody's got something about look up Oakdale, California, some local business, militia protecting them. Okay. Well, the local law enforcement may let them do that. I don't know, but I'm just sharing California law with you. What he said here is look up Oakland. I'm sorry, I should have read it. Oakdale, California. Some local businesses had the militia protecting the stores over the weekend, and that doesn't surprise me. And if there may be an investigation, perhaps the sheriff there doesn't care. I don't know. Since so many people have been buying guns and changing their minds about the Second Amendment, do you think this will help us out in the Second Amendment fight for our freedoms? I don't know, Terry, to be honest with you. That's a good question, and I honestly don't know. My answer is maybe, probably not, but possibly. It might help us a little bit. But don't assume just because somebody bought a gun that their leftist mindset has changed. It may not have. It would be nice if it does, and I would love to say that there's a correlation between I got scared to death, so I bought a gun, and now I'm a pro-gun person. But that may be too much of a leap for a lot of these folks. I don't know. We'll see. Sorry for calling you sir. Roman, that's fine. That's okay. Won't do it again. All right. Let's see. How is my ham going? Oh, the ham radio? Doing fine. I haven't had a chance to play with it lately. Or it was going to be in a couple of contests. I just didn't have the time. It's been too busy for me to do things right now. Chris has typed, in my humble opinion, as long as wording keeps presenting as black, brown, yellow, etc., there will always be racism narrative. Okay, well, I'm a Christian, so I'm going to tell you the world is not perfect. It's never going to be perfect. People have hated each other from the day one. We fought over stupid things from day one, and we'll continue to do that until the Lord returns. Racism is nothing but hatred. That's all it is. And it doesn't matter whether it's a white person hating a black person or a black person hating a white person or a Latino person hating a black person. It doesn't matter. It's hatred. That's what it is. And until we begin to see it for what it is and stop using it as excuses for our behavior, then we're not going to resolve it. And there it is. That it's just hatred. and hatred is an abomination to the Lord. You should do a video in which the police department confiscated someone's AR-15. I have a Kel-Tec if upgraded on the trigger. I do have a video in which the State Department confiscated an AR-15. I'm a little confused by the comment, so forgive me. If I didn't get what you're getting at, let's see. If upgrade the trigger into pistol grip, do I run chance of having my rifle? Yes. 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 Because it could be, unless you do it right, it could be an illegal assault weapon in the state of California. I do the little quotes because there's no such thing as an assault weapon. But there's assault rifles, but there's no such thing as an assault weapon. It's a made-up political term. And you should go to CRPA. They actually have a little chart that will lead you down the path of what is an assault weapon and what isn't in California, so you can determine what you can and can't do with your rifle. Okay, Joel, what some people lack is common sense. Oh, well, that's because it's not common sense. It should be called uncommon sense. It's not common at all. I get it. Whether it be regular citizens or individuals, in police government agencies, it's either stupidity or willful ignorance that's an issue. Okay, well, you're not going to get much of an argument out of me where that's concerned. I agree with you, in part anyway. Had the Democratic Party completely lost their minds? Yes. Yes. They have completely lost their minds. Limits on Second Amendment and disband police. Yes, they've completely lost their minds. I don't vote for them. Yes, how can I vote? How can a voter trust them? You can't. But then that's kind of universally the case with politicians in general on the main, but certainly with leftists, and the Democratic Party is going very, very hard left. What do you think about them banning bulletproof vests for civilians? That is the second dumbest thing, right after banning. Okay. Civilians don't commit crimes wearing bullets. The number of people, first of all, civilians don't commit crimes wearing armor. And if they did wear armor and commit crimes, it would be all over the news, probably. But it isn't, because it doesn't happen. So that's silly. That's just some politician looking for something to ban. I have armor. I don't commit crimes. And people are going to get around it anyway. So that's a law that's unenforceable. And criminals are certainly going to get around it. They'll have armor anyway if they want it. Sean, thank you very much for the $2. I do appreciate it. He did a super chat there, and he called me sir. Doing a great job, sir. Thank you. I got called sir, and I got $2. Let's see. I'm trying to get through these because I'm out of time. So let me see if I can get the last few here, and I'll try not to be so wordy. How do you donate? That's a couple different ways to do it. You can do, if you want to, you can do a super chat, which is what Sean did. You can go on our website at GunGuy.tv, and there's a PayPal link and a Bitcoin link. You can join Patreon and join us on Patreon. You'll get a lot of additional content you don't get here at different levels. There's lots of different ways you can do that. I hope that answered that question. It may not. I don't know. See, Democrats are anti-American. They want to destroy America. Well, I agree. And you said what? Is the name of that. I agree with you. I think there are a lot of people in the United States who are anti-American and want to destroy America. I agree that we can't just relate everyone as human. Okay, I agree, but we can't just relate everyone as human beings. Okay, Chris, but they are. They are. I'm a human being. So are you. My wife, who's Spanish and Mexican, is a human being. My son, who is half Filipino, is a human being. The young lady who was living with us for the last year and a half, is a very good friends of ours are black British. Their daughter was born here, and they had to go back home, and she wanted to finish her high school time here. She just moved out the other day because she's going to go to college. She's black. She's a human being. Really good friend of mine, a police officer. He's Chinese. His name's John. I love the guy. He's a human being. One of my closest friends, a Border Patrol agent. He's black. His name is Ron. So Ron, if you're watching, I just accused you of being a close friend of mine. Ha. He's a human being. We are human beings. And until we start to look at each other that way, we're screwed up. The minute we start judging somebody by the color of their skin, that's the very definition of racism. That's what it is. That's racism. And it doesn't matter what color their skin is. If we're judging who they are and what they are by the color of their skin, I don't care what the color is. That is the very definition of racism. And people can disagree with me if they want to. That's fine. I'm sharing my view with you. It is, after all, GunGuyTV. This is where I share my views, and people can throw rocks at the computer, or they can, tell me what they think of me, and that's fine. Joel, is it legal to shoot at all BLM land in California? No. I don't know. Maybe. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that because you put all. I know some land is a Bureau of Land, and by the way, BLM really stands for Bureau of Land Management, not Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, or whatever it's called. BLM is Bureau of Land Management, just so that you know. And in many of those places you can shoot, but it might be in individual places, so I don't know the answer to that question. You would want to contact the Bureau of Land Management and ask them for a map of where you can shoot and where you can't. Media's at fault with the of course, they're at fault with misrepresenting body armor. They do that with guns all the time. You think about people kneeling. What do I think about people kneeling for BLM, and in this case, you're talking about Black Lives Matter? I find it disgusting. I find it embarrassing. I will never kneel before a mob. They may beat me senseless, but I will never kneel before a mob. I will kneel before the Lord and Him only. There you go. That's how strongly I feel about that. I will not kneel before a mob. There you go. And now people are really going to be mad at me if they weren't before. Okay, be mad at me. I don't care. Where are we at? We have done a lot of Amazon in this family, but we always click on your link. And Chris, you are my favorite person today. Thank you very much for that. I really do appreciate that. I'm jealous. You gave away more facial head hair. Oh, you gave away more facial head hair than me. I'm not sure what that means. I have more, or I've given away more because it went away. I don't know. I'm an old man, so I'm losing my hair in the front here quite a bit. I'm not sure whether that's good or bad. What are your thoughts on gun training outside of California? Well, if it's good training, does it matter where it is? If you go to Front Sight out in Nevada, or Gun Sight in Arizona, or Thunder Ranch, I think they're up in Oregon. Yeah, go. Do it. Beautiful, wonderful stuff. I'm going to go to Front Sight next month, as a matter of fact, because I've got a class over there I've taken before that I want to take again that's outstanding. It's a 2-day skill builder that's really good, so I want to go out there and do that. Done it before. I like the class. Joel, I love people. Makes me sad we can't just see them as such. I agree with you, Chris. I'm with you 100%. Thank you very much, Michelle, for $3. Very nice of you. Appreciate it. What do you think about militias in California? Well, okay, militias are in our Constitution. I have no problem with militias. I have problem with militias that foment violence or that want to overthrow the government. I don't know of any, but if there are any, I have a problem with those. But as far as law-abiding citizens coming together and forming a militia, that's constitutional. I don't have a problem with that. I think sometimes you end up with applications for those from people who are about 3 fries short of a Happy Meal. So if you're running the militia, you have to be careful about your membership, because you will get the oddball wanting to join who wants to go kill people or do something stupid. But other than that, no, I don't have a problem with militias at all. And I've said that many times, by the way. So that's people get mad at me about that too. People get mad at me about all kinds of things. That's all right. I guess it's because I'm opinionated. Razor Cola said 100% Joel. Some people just want to find something to divide us. That's not just some people. That's a lot of people. Remember, in my humble opinion, the devil runs this place, and he is a divider. The BLM is closed. The Bureau of Land Management is closed. I'm not surprised, but you might look on their website and see if they have limited hours. You should be able to get a ranger somewhere. Let's see. And you could probably call the National Forest Service, and they could probably tell you about the land where you could shoot. I personally don't think people care as much about the skin color as the media portrays. The media has a moral responsibility to report truth, and I put blame for the riots and violence on their feet. I cannot, Ohio Rivercat, my personal opinion is I agree with you, but I'm not a black person or a member of a minority, so I can't speak to whether they are truly treated badly in places, because I would be I'd have to be tone deaf and foolish to voice an opinion there, because I've never been treated that way because I'm not a minority. Now, I have been in minority communities where the minorities there have treated me terribly because I'm white. So I've experienced reverse racism. But as far as minorities being treated badly by white people, I'm assuming that does happen in certain parts of the country. I live in San Diego, California, where we're a melting pot and it's a much more accepting society, but I don't know if that's like that all around the country or not. So I really can't speak to that. I answered the militia question. And do I think we'll ever get to buy NFIA items in California? If the answer is if we ever get to, we may, if we fight for our rights and we don't give up and we don't move and we don't just, take our toys and run to a different place. Yeah, we may. Otherwise, we probably won't. I hope we do. Let's see. You have way more hair than me. Oh, silly old man. That's me. Yes, I am a silly old man. Is anyone here interested in posse comitatus? Well, that's a blanket question. Yes, I suppose everyone would be, I would think, because that's the law that, in part, one of the things it does is limit the ability for the military to be used within the borders of the United States to limit the power of a president to oppress the people. Now, there are some instances in which my understanding is that law can be overcome in very narrow ways, and that is, for example, using the Insurrection Act. So during the 1992 riots with Rodney King riots, for example, our governor at the time, who I believe was Pete Wilson, asked for help from the federal government, and the president at the time, whom I believe, if I remember correctly, was Herbert Walker, the senior Bush, did federalize the Guard. And in the process of federalizing the Guard then becomes a part of the Department of Defense, and he did move in actual military troops to help the Guard to quell the violence in Los Angeles. And once it was stable again, then the Guard was dismissed and the military sent home. So there have been instances in which military have been used by presidents within the boundaries of the United States. But it's a very narrow exception, and it doesn't happen very often. I was alive during one of those things, and I was actually in Los Angeles. So, there you are. Okay, militia in California is all volunteer state militia. That's a militia, but I think what they were referring to, Gary, was that's the National Guard is really the state militia in a lot of ways, even though it really doesn't qualify as a militia per se. But there actually are militias, which are volunteers that are separate militias that are not part of government entities, and they do exist in California. There's a number of them, actually. And I think that's what the person was referring to. Let's see. Sorry I typed malicious stuff too many times. That's okay. Type whatever you want. That's okay with me. This is a free forum. You can type whatever you want as long as it isn't foul-mouthed and rude or attacking someone else. Racism is idiotic. Do we need to go any further with that comment than that? That is a very profound and true statement. Racism is idiotic. Therefore, such racist lacks common sense in the bigger picture of, yes, I agree with you 100%. Thank you very much, Charger. Charger 82193 cubics, looks like. See, I'm saying, hey, Joel, sorry I'm late. That's okay. I'm about to wrap it up. Oscar, but thank you very much for getting here. I appreciate it. Thanks for responding to my issue. You are absolutely welcome. No problem. I'm glad I could help. That was from Charles Stewart. I have a State Guard volunteer captain living across the street from me. Good for you. Be nice to them because they're good people. Not armed, old vets, attendants. Okay. Well, I got everybody, I think. If for some reason I missed your comment, please forgive me. It was certainly not intentional. I try very hard to get to all of them. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. We've gone over quite a bit, and part of that was the broken stream. I will take these two streams and edit them and put them together. Actually, I may not. I may go ahead. Well, yes, I will. I'll do that, but they won't have the chats in the column. That's fine. I'll leave them up as individual streams as well if you want to look at them. But I will put them together as one solid thing for a video if people want to watch it. And then if you have other questions that I didn't get to or I missed yours or something, you're welcome to send me an email. I do get about 150 emails a day. So forgive me if it takes me a little time to get back to it, but I'll do my best. You're always welcome to send me an email to Joel, Joel, at kbtninc.com. So that's KBTN, think kick butt take names, kbtninc.com. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for all of your support. I really do appreciate it. And wherever you go, whatever you do, please be safe.